It happened so fast.
So fast. So fast. It's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, we won Vermont.
I want them to cover the results as they come in. I don't want them on the scene showing,
Right.
interviewing the crazies, whether they're right or left. Don't interview the crazies.
Welcome to our second episode of Let's Break It Down, where we go behind the scenes at the White House to reveal how campaign events are planned, choreographed, and executed to prevent things from going terribly wrong. I'm Alyssa Mastromonaco, former White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Barack Obama. Joining me today is Danielle Crutchfield, former Director of Scheduling in Advance for Barack Obama. Dee Dee, welcome to Let's Break It Down. I'm so excited to have you. We are here today to talk about election night. I know, but many years ago, what was it, 12 at this point? 12 years ago, we started planning election night right about now. Dee Dee, what do you remember? What are your original memories of planning election night?
It was weird because I felt like it was like the slow march to everything ending. Like we had prepared for this moment for so long and then it was coming, and it's just like the schedule, or the block schedule, which was a long range calendar for us, just got shorter and shorter and shorter. And I just had so much anxiety the whole time. We didn't know if we were going to have jobs. We didn't know if we were going to win. We didn't know. You didn't know anything. Like, I didn't have my apartment lease figured out. I didn't know anything. And so it was just like this terrifying end to a chapter in your life. And it's out of your control at that point. It's scary.
It is. And so but the interesting thing was when we actually started planning election night, it's like all of our energy became focused because what you said is such a good point, is that people don't realize that you spend all this time on a campaign, but starting in October, every passing day means there's less for you to do.
Yes.
Not that you're not working hard, you're still working hard, but there's just less to do. And so we all agreed, Barack Obama, hometown guy, Grant Park.
Yep.
He was dubious. He said two things when we told him this was our idea. One, do you think we can get enough people to make it look good? That was number one.
Because we hadn't had 100,000 person rallies at that point.
Ever before. And number two, before we could even make our way out of the room, he was like, no fireworks. And we were like, come on. Of course not. Because here's the rub about planning an election night. You want something that is celebratory, looks presidential, win or lose, but also you don't want to jinx yourself. You don't want to feel like you're planning to win, right? You're not. You're planning to have a safe location that can accommodate people comfortably and is very accessible. And Dee, you actually had the great idea of how we would transport people, get them all their credentials and everything they needed, and transport them down. What was that again?
Trolleys.
Why not?
Trolley captains. And the schedulers, since we had nothing to do because our job was done on that night, we were all trolley captains. So we each literally rolled back and forth to get and transport all these different groups of people down Lakeshore Drive to Grant Park.
Right.
So we spent the bulk of, at a certain point in the time, we started moving people. And I remember just the anxiety that I couldn't believe this day was happening. But at the same time, you're in the midst of shuffling people. So you don't really have the time to sit and be like, oh my God, is this really happening? You're just going.
You want to make sure that the stage is set up with you want the good head-on shot. You want a space staged so that you can have the victory shot. You want, which is, the always hands up, the president and vice president elect. The cut shot, which was the city of Chicago. It was lit up, said USA. The details that went into planning this.
Do you remember that when we finally got down there, when Liz Ryder brought us in the buffer, which is the area around the stage, and had us stand up on a tier so that we could see the crowd?
Yeah.
After we had won, all of us stood there and you couldn't see anything but just flags and people.
Just
flags and people.
America.
See. Yeah.
And now that night, an interesting thing was John McCain's concession speech at his election night site was very presidential.
Yep.
His speech was so moving.
Yeah.
And it's like if he had won or lost, his site was perfect also.
Yep.
Fast forward to 2016. Donald Trump, and for people who aren't like acquainted the way that we are with this, Donald Trump clearly did not think he was going to win because he accepted
it was crazy.
in a room with a low ceiling, like a bad cut shot. I don't think there was a cut shot. The head-on shot was just like this, like if you do side-by-sides of like his family stuffed on a shitty stage looking scared and uncomfortable, and then you see us, 5,000 perfectly steamed flags. You couldn't even tell that. And this is something you actually couldn't see in Donald Trump's. But because we were outside, we had what we lovingly call the Pope glass, which was Secret Service made us put up the bulletproof glass. And the night before, you and I and Jessica Wright, who was the tripod, we had... we did not often go to the big events that were out in the country. Like, we acknowledged and embraced the fact that our jobs were very HQ focused.
Yeah.
And so this night, the night before the election eve, the three of us watched the Manassas, Virginia rally.
Yeah.
That night was so special. It was before you knew the outcome. You had done everything you could do. And like that clip is the embodiment of that. 85,000 people in Manassas, Virginia. So the next morning we wake up, the Lord is shining on us. It is still 72 degrees. I have gone down to the North Face store to buy a raincoat because I thought it would ward away any rain because we're superstitious. As a campaign, we were very superstitious. I would love for Dan Pfeiffer to be here with us so he could talk about, he's the most superstitious of everybody. Actually, my only picture of election night is with Dan Pfeiffer, and somehow the Poughkeepsie Journal had it, and I never saw it, but we made front page of the Poughkeepsie Journal, don't you worry. So we're in the office. If I rewind in time, in 2004, I had been working for John Kerry on the Kerry campaign. Exit polls had us up. We all thought we were going to win by 5 o'clock. We were drunk. I mean, we'd been drinking. Like, I wasn't hammered, but like I'd had a couple drinks. And as we watched the actual results start to come in, we had to sober up right quick because we were not winning. And the worst thing, and the memory that I will never shake, was having to quickly flip from celebratory mode to getting on a conference call to figure out where you're going to give your concession speech. And so I always blamed a bit of hubris. It's like my fault that John Kerry lost, but I'm just like, so that day, Dee Dee, I was being a bit of a weird asshole, and I was just like sitting at my desk.
You mean
and
sitting
I wouldn't
at your desk
leave.
and not moving and being quiet the whole day?
The whole day. I was just
day.
like, such a weirdo, and I kept sending you guys out. I was like, go fix the site, go do this, go do that. And 7 o'clock comes around, and you and Jessica show up at my desk, and you're like, God is our witness. Get your bag. If we win or lose, we got to be together. And so we went down to Hula Hands.
Such a weird experience.
Because we're so classy. And we had Pinot Grigio and Buffalo Bites.
Yes. We did.
And I was so nervous, and like Jessica looked at us. I think they called Ohio and like New Mexico or something.
She was like, we need to go.
We have to. She's like, we have to go right now.
We have to go. It happened so fast.
So fast. So fast. It's like all of a sudden, it's like, oh, we won Vermont. To like all of a sudden.
Sip,
sip. Sip, sip. Throw it back. We take our bracelets. We get on your trolleys. We are pulling down Lakeshore Drive, no traffic because you had shut Lakeshore Drive down because that's what you do. And as we pulled up to the site, to Grant Park, this is the exact second Wolf Blitzer goes to CNN, and this is what we see.
And CNN can now project that Barack Obama, 47 years old, will become the president-elect of the United States. We project he now has enough electoral votes, more than 270, more than enough to become the 44th president of the United States.
And there we are, all of us linked arms, as we do. And then the moment that we had worked and planned for unfolds before our eyes.
Out of many, we are one. That while we breathe, we hope. And where we are met with cynicism and doubt, and those who tell us that we can't, we will respond with that timeless creed that sums up the spirit of a people. Yes, we can. Thank you. God bless you. And may God bless the United States of America.
Okay, couple things. So I think that for us, what was so important that night is that, like, for very young people, Barack Obama really put his faith in us. He trusted our opinions. He trusted our judgment. He let our ideas soar. And I felt like this was the night we owed to him, you know, that win or lose, he deserved this moment. And so I think for me, watching everything that we had talked about in those meetings, the victory shot, the flags, beautifully steamed flags, the Trump campaign, everyone should take a page out of our notebook. Our shit was always steamed perfectly.
It's attention to detail.
It is.
Every detail.
It is. And the cut shot that we were talking about, it's the skyline of Chicago. It's more flags than you could possibly remember. This November, different. This November is going to be so different. And election night specifically. So we know that there probably, most definitely, won't be results on election night. Yeah. So Dee, if you are the Biden, because we don't give any fucks about Donald Trump. So if you are the Biden campaign and they're listening to you right now, what are you telling them to do on election night?
It's really, really hard to like figure out what they should do. But I think that they obviously can't have some large event, you know, like that's just
because of COVID.
Right. And I'm like, you can't be like, can you do it outdoors? But then you're right. There may not be results. One of the things that I thought was awesome, and I don't remember why the president and first lady, I mean, of course I'm talking about 44, did this. They did sort of interview when they were up in the residence, and it was like the two of them and the girls. And it was just such a rare look at a very casual family moment that people don't really get. So maybe it's just like a camera crew who's there with the Bidens, you know, who are not in a suit, who are just like being themselves, doing what Americans do, which is watching results come in.
Right. That's a really good point. You know, on the one hand, campaigns, like these guys all have like a good amount of money. But you never want to waste your money. So you don't want to do some big event that the likelihood of you speaking at is going to be pretty slim. However, I do love the drive-ins they've been doing.
Oh, I love it.
They're so charming. They're so fun.
So cool.
It's so cool. And it's like a great way for people to get together. So I think that, you know, if nothing else, I love the drive-ins. And I do think that no matter what, it's so important for staff and supporters to hear from the candidate on election night, because even though we know it's not going to end on election night, we have a lot of mail-in ballots that are set to come that because of COVID, like lines could be longer. And so I do think that no matter what, it's great for them to make some kind of statement. Maybe they announce it the day before, like we're doing this at 10 o'clock or we're doing this at 9 o'clock. But you want to be careful because you don't want anyone to get the wrong idea, because you don't want people on the West Coast to think that they've won or they're conceding or that they shouldn't go and remain online. So they do have a lot to consider.
It's either one or two things. We're not going to know. And there's like a little shrivel of a piece of me that is hoping that people are so insane about making a voting plan that they're voting early, that they are doing it, that if they do so much that maybe we get a result that evening.
But no, see, that's a good point, because Dee, it's like we don't know what's going to happen. It could be that folks like us, and one thing, just let's take a beat. Anyone who is watching us right now who doesn't have a voting plan, pause us, come up with your voting plan, and come back, because everyone needs to have their voting plan. A real likelihood on election night is that it looks like a Trump landslide, because all of his voters, I don't know why, they're not afraid of COVID. Maybe it's because he keeps tweeting that they shouldn't be afraid of COVID. So it may look like a Trump landslide. You and I have watched a lot of election night coverages together, a gazillion primaries, caucuses, 2012. And the reason I don't remember 2012 is because I went home and went to bed at like 9 o'clock because I was like, we're either going to win or not. Like, we'll deal with it tomorrow because I was so exhausted. We'll be here either way. And so for the networks, as someone who is a consumer of news, which you are, what do you think that the networks, the cable networks, knowing how they normally cover elections, what would you counsel them in their coverage? How would you tell them to approach the evening?
So what I don't want to see is like 5 people fighting on the corner near an election center. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
Don't want you to go towards the action and go find the 5 people that are with 3 Proud Boys, you know, trying to intimidate voters, and people now think that it's dangerous for them to go vote.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I just want to present the facts as they come in. Do not give people that are intimidating voters the stage that they want, right?
Right.
That's what I want them to do. I want them to cover the results as they come in. I don't want them on the scene showing, interviewing the crazies, whether they're right or left. Don't interview the crazies, you know?
Right. I was thinking to myself, I want experts, not pundits.
Yes.
I want people like who know election law, who are dealing with voter fraud. I want the news to be used as to give people tools, not commentary. Right?
Facts.
So it's like if states have long lines, I want to know what polls are staying open. I want them to explain that until, because you know there's going to be so much gossip and so much garbage that comes out that night that's like, here's what we're hearing, like the equivalent of exit polls that never end.
Right.
And I want the news networks and anchors and all the people who are on television that night saying, you know what, this is what we're hearing, but it hasn't been certified by the state yet. Like, you know, like I want information, and I want to make sure that people, you know, because the one thing that we don't know, like you said, the point you made earlier is that like I know my parents should vote by mail, but they are bent on going in person. They're going in person because they want to like pull the lever. Right. And so all these people who were telling, you know, you should really try to like, you're at risk. Don't tell them I said this, but like, you know, you're at risk. And so you should vote.
Are gonna come after
exactly. They are. And, you know, I don't want them to necessarily vote in person, but they're like, no, we're going because we want to feel it. You know, we want to do it. So lines could be really, really long. So I also want local news reporting up to the networks being like, there are long lines in Wisconsin and polls are staying open until X time, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we want on election night. We want facts. We want experts. We want no punditry. Trump's going to lie. Trump's going to claim victory, and we just need everyone to stay calm because...
Stay the course.
Stay the course. Stay the course. Vote. Help people vote who need your help, and make a voting plan today, right now.
Yep.
As someone who's officially host of a series on the Crooked YouTube channel, can I please ask you, because Elijah's telling me to smash that button and subscribe? As someone who got kicked out of Brownies for not being able to sell cookies, it's not easy for me to ask you to smash that button, so please do it. There you go, Elijah. Okay, Dee Dee. Now, we mentioned that we're a little superstitious as it comes. Is there any superstition that you are still going to abide this election day?
I will still have my Grant Park Vance hoodie on that night. I had it on in 2008. I had it on in 2012. I did not have it on in 2016. So now I am convinced I will have it on.
All right. Well, this is going to fuck some shit up because I also always wear my Grant Park. We had matching jackets for staff for Grant Park on election night. And I did wear mine in 2016. Oh! But the one thing I don't do is I don't wear the merch of whoever's election it is. So I'm wearing this tie-dye and for buying t-shirt right now,
like that.
But I will not wear it on election day. On election day, I'm just going to hide. Oh, also my other superstition is that I don't have any cocktails before 7 p.m.
I don't have champagne, but there will be some cocktails.
Yeah, see, that's it. Thank you for coming on Let's Break It Down.
Thank you. This has been great.